Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast, brought to you by Moss Marketing Group. The M3 Podcast bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Marketing tips and tricks you can use today. Here at the M3 Podcast, we want to expand marketing knowledge to everyone so everyone can be more successful. Today we have Dre, Dalton, and Logan on the show. Welcome.
What are we going to be talking about?
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for being on today.
Do we just kind of interview Dane with our questions?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we can talk about, honestly, like starting the podcast, like just our excitement about it. I mean,
our inspiration.
Yeah.
Why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Dane, why do you want to start this podcast? What gave you the idea?
I think a lot of business owners need to have a new education on the marketing space. I think a lot of people listen to podcasts on motivational things and different things of that nature. And I started looking out there for a podcast on marketing tips, things like that, to help small business owners, not just the corporate giants of the world that are most of the times the one that get those tips and tricks and everything like that to be successful. I want to be able to bring that to the masses of every small business owner can listen to this week in and week out and have those things to help their business be successful.
Yeah,
because I feel like all the ones that are out there right now are kind of more so targeted to like something where it seems really good right off the bat, but then it basically is unattainable.
And I think that social media and the internet has just made marketing such a buzzword in general that it's such a huge topic, and there's so much that goes into it, and there's so much that goes into doing it the right way that I think it's kind of diluted. And there's so many, marketing gurus out there and people who try to push these, bogus courses just to make money for themselves. And that's kind of why you started Moss Marketing Group and why you got into it. So
yeah,
what does marketing mean to you, and how do you differentiate yourself, and how do we differentiate ourselves in that space?
Like you said, marketing in general has become such a broad term, and it can go anything from somebody that sells billboards as a marketing person, somebody that does social as a marketing person. You have 100,000 of different ways to market in today's world, and I think with that becoming so saturated, the bottom line of businesses making money has been lost. And I sat on the other side of that table with marketing people selling us all the time and trying to tell us all these magic numbers and all this stuff, but it didn't correlate to actual bottom line money. So with getting into the marketing space, I wanted to make a difference where we don't run contracts, but our main purpose and goal of everything we do is to increase that bottom line for small businesses and make a difference where a lot of these companies are just out to get a check. That's not what we're doing.
So leading into that, what do you think your biggest thing and why you've grown so fast? What do you think the main reason for that is?
Because we actually care about helping someone. Where we used to call them the blue suits, they would come in and try to sell us all the time. They would come in their brand new Porsche and their blue suit and everything, and they just started with this company a month and a half ago, and it was the best found thing since butter. But they didn't return us any money. And Mr. Blue Suit, you could never get a hold of him again after he made you sign the 12-month contract. Their whole business model was outsell the 12-month cancellations. So if you onboard 100 accounts in 12 months, if you can sign another 150 the next 12 months, your business is growing.
That it is.
I hate that business model, but that's why these marketing companies have expanded so fast out of area. And they can't hold an area because their cancellation rate is so fast. So with what we are doing is no contracts. If somebody doesn't want to work with us, they don't have to. But I want to expand in an area and dominate an area and help people in an area. And they can call anybody that comes in and speaks to them at any given point in time.
Yeah.
And we have that communication bridge that's been broken. We're fixing that. So any business owner can contact us at any point in time, 7 days a week, and have an answer on anything they're doing.
Yeah. How long has it been now? I mean, How long have we been in business?
Just over 18 months. So, well, June 31st was marks 1 year, or marks 2 years from collecting a check. So June 1st, 2020 was the start of our first account.
Yeah, because everyone called you crazy for billing in the rear.
They said billing in the rear was crazy.
Some
They
still
said
do.
they said no contracts was crazy. They said everything we were doing was wrong. And they can keep saying that, but it's catching wind right now that they're trying to figure out what they're doing wrong because we're growing faster than them.
Hey, cheers to that. That's something to be
Cheers.
acknowledged, and I mean that's something to take if
Looks
if
like
you've got an
Donald's a little
idea
empty.
and
Little empty.
you think it's crazy and people tell you that it's crazy. The
That means you have a good
ideas,
idea.
yeah, the craziest ideas are the ones that work out and are the
Yes.
ones that become the most successful and build the biggest companies.
Jeff Bezos, they said
go
was
for it.
crazy.
Elon Musk.
All those guys were crazy. Look where they're at. They did something that nobody else was doing, and guess what? When you're the first one to do it, you're the first one to succeed.
They're
Exactly.
tearing down bridges just so you can fit their yacht into the ocean. All right, so I know you kind of touch base on why you came into marketing to bridge that gap, but what would you say your target clientele is for marketing, and can you do everyone? Is it something that is you're targeted into like a certain business aspect or what?
So, every marketing book you read, I've read tons of them, and every one of them says you need to narrow down to a certain market. And that's what I started doing. We had started off narrowing down to automotive dealerships. That's what we were going to live for. Like, we had a background in that. We knew how it worked. That marketing was easy for us. But as time progressed, I found out that there was that issue in every single business out there. That communication gap wasn't just in the car business. That lack of marketing comes across every single business model that's out there.
So no one just communicates in general.
It's really a big problem.
It's really a rare commodity.
And the lack of marketing for these companies, I had company after company starting to reach out saying, hey, we are seeing the traction that's coming. Can you do this and this and this for our company? And as we started expanding outwards, we found out what we were doing in the automotive space works across almost every platform. So far, there are things that we haven't gotten into yet. But as we keep growing and learning those markets, we're expanding our knowledge into those spaces. And if we follow the same principles of what we're doing in the car business, I think we can make it work across any business model.
So if you were to pick up a new business, how would you go about spending their money not being in that industry yet?
Every business is different, and that's where so many marketing companies have created this cookie cutter platform that everybody's ran the same. It's not. Every business model is different. You can have two plumbing companies that have a completely different business model. You have two car dealerships. One sells $80,000 trucks. Their business model is completely different than a buy here, pay here car dealership. The business models aren't the same. The dealership that goes after specialty credit buyers can market on the radio and do well. The dealership selling $70,000, $80,000 trucks does not have good success on radio.
Yep.
So it's understanding market of any company out there. Once you understand that, when you go into that business, that's when you sit down and you figure out how that business runs and operates. When you're figuring out how that business runs and operates, it's very easy to figure out what kind of marketing works. Some businesses do well with direct search to Google paid ads and running SEO stuff and everything like that. A lot of our businesses run, and the best return for money is on social right now. But if you're going to run social, your content's got to be right. And that's where we also have that leg up on everyone, is we're bringing content to a space that didn't have it.
Because that's where a lot of people miss the boat, is they try to dive into that social media, but their content just isn't performing.
Yeah, content. I'm trying to remember what book I was reading. But they talk about how content it's all noise. Anything that you see all day, every day is noise. And anything out there makes noise. There's country singers that make noise that people pay to go hear. But then there's a trash truck that drives down your street that also makes noise. One of which you want to listen to, one of which you don't. Putting content out there is the exact same thing. Everybody's putting content out there and it's all noise. It's what do people want to see and what do people not want to see.
Good analogy. Good
Yeah,
analogy.
it is.
And
it
what
is.
catches
And-
someone's eye. I mean,
Exactly. To add on to that too, I mean, what's helped us be successful is the team that we have. Whenever we onboard a new account, we're not just taking that cookie cutter approach to it. I mean, Dalton, me, Dre, Cody, everyone is doing research, looking at that company, what their content currently looks like, what social presence they have, what their Google My Business and website looks like for SEO. And then we're doing research into that industry to see what are their biggest competitors doing, what works, who's successful, and who do we want to try to go after, and where are we going to take this company?
yeah,
And
it is a team effort.
It is. And, honestly, it's trial and error. Some stuff, doesn't work, and we take note of that and we adjust and
How often do you guys monitor stuff like that? So
Or
if you see
weekly.
something's not performing.
we're monitoring that at least weekly, if not daily.
Daily with new accounts when when we're test piloting stuff.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that's been one of my firm beliefs is because we are a new and up and coming company, we go out and we test these things, but we're not testing it on that company's dime. To date, we've had one account start that did not work. And that is not something that was done on their dime.
Yeah, but it's starting to. We're picking up traction.
We have figured it out, and we're picking up traction to make that account work like the rest. But that's not something that we're going to figure it out on that person's dime. We're going to figure it out on our dime.
That's something no other marketing company would do.
Yeah,
No,
because
that's unheard
that,
of.
that client actually said he would pay.
100%. He was 100% willing to pay because he's like, you guys are working like crazy. He goes, you call me and talk to me every single week about where everything's at, what's going on. And granted, the numbers look great. The numbers is something that every other marketing company out there would show these people and be like, hey, this is working phenomenal. But the guy's bottom line as a business owner was not changing. So we were not doing our job.
Yep.
And that's what makes a difference in this space is us doing our job to
Exactly.
return that profit back to that business owner's pocket. And that has been lost in marketing, period.
Yeah, it's all about numbers, impressions.
Exactly. And that's where I had an issue with it was somebody called me and said, hey, you had 1 million impressions over the last 2 months. I'm like, I didn't sell any more cars. Cars is what
Conversions are what matter.
that's what my
Exactly.
paycheck looked like as a manager was increasing that number of cars sold. So when somebody sat down and tried to tell me they could sell us more cars, I was always intrigued. But the car business has almost became numb to it because everybody and their mother is going out saying that they can increase car sales. And company after company after company after company continues not to do it.
And we've seen companies close just in the last 2 months.
Yeah, and we have came into a space now where we have direct correlation with companies that we run 100 cars with that they sell 36 cars based off people we are serving ads to. That's not being done. And you can take that across every business model out there. We have companies that are getting 30 to 40 leads a month and
Yeah.
closing a very, very high portion of those leads, which is unusual in the social space. But we're bringing video to the space. We're bringing high-level content to the space. We're bringing all these other things that when we sit at a table, if your business X, Y, and Z and Hal's out of Kansas City and you're using a marketing company out of Florida, how can they help with your content? They can't.
Or know your market.
Yeah. Or know your demographic areas. They can't.
Yeah.
So they end up being at a disadvantage to what we can do because we can go get that content. We know the areas to go after. We know what to do with that business to actually return them money.
Why is video so important right now? Why is that something that people are starting to catch on to and it's changing?
Video is the marketing space right now.
Why?
If you're in the marketing space and you're not doing video, you're 5 years behind right now. And look at the traction TikTok has gotten within the last 6 to 12 months.
It's a second Vine, dude.
I don't know how Vine
R.I.P.
I don't know how Vine didn't work. Like Vine's platform is TikTok. It just was a little early.
Different name.
Yeah. But look at what TikTok has done. Look how Facebook and Instagram, they're coming right behind to do the same thing.
So is YouTube. Yeah, everyone has Reels now, stories. all of
YouTube
it.
is the second largest search engine out there.
Yeah.
Like those are the things that if people aren't paying attention to those trends, then they don't want to be great. They don't want to be wonderful in what they do. They don't
Earn
want to be
the
at the
best.
top level. And that's where when you watch video on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, on Facebook Reels have came into Facebook, onto YouTube, onto every platform, that's what they're going to. And
The attention span of a human is like, if you don't catch someone's attention within the first 3 to 5 seconds,
3, 4, 5 seconds.
Well, I think it's
There's-
actually went down since
It
all
has,
this stuff
and that-
has like came out on
that's
social
where I
media
was.
and everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was kind of going with that. Is the people who are consuming those ads, the number of people is growing exponentially, but social media is causing attention spans and just attention in general to go way down. So you have to be able to catch someone's attention like that and to retain them with content that is engaging, that's stimulating, and that calls them to action.
Yeah, I think social media is a blessing and a curse. In
I
the same-
personally hate it.
I honestly hate it.
If it wasn't for the fact of becoming such a strong business tool, I probably wouldn't have social media even personally.
Same.
Like personal level, I don't like social media. I don't need it. But
That's like
it
kind
has
of like
become-
military people that go into the military. Then when they move back, they're like, I just want to live on land and not see anyone any.
No, it's became the biggest necessary evil that we have. That it is the strongest marketing tool that's out there.
Yeah,
You see businesses after businesses after businesses that have become so successful strictly using social media.
Well, the funny thing is everyone thinks of Facebook like, oh, kids use Facebook. I'm like, everyone I know. I mean, there's probably a handful of individual I can count on one hand that don't have Facebook, but business owners have Facebook, kids have Facebook.
Yeah.
Literally,
Even our grandparents. have
our
Facebook.
grandparents
yeah.
have Facebook.
Like
So
the
you can literally be in front of every individual. Because does anyone
Yeah.
here watch commercials anymore on TV?
You don't have
No.
to.
No, you can
The
fast
age
forward.
demographic on social media, and this is why it's important to know this stuff. I mean, each social media platform has a majority of a different age demographic to it. Facebook has, in recent years, become more of an older generation's social media platform. It's how they stay up with their family. It's how grandparents see photos of their grandkids, parents as well. You've got Instagram to where it's primarily dominated by 20 to 30-year-olds up to 40-year-olds for the majority. And then we've got TikTok, who is majority of younger kids. Now that's changing and that's evolving. That's why it's important to stay on top of that. But accessing all of those levers within those platforms gives you access to the entire spectrum and any demographic that you're looking to target.
But that falls right back around to understanding your market.
Exactly.
If we're selling a $5 item, we can market all over TikTok. TikTok will convert.
Yep.
You can track those things through TikTok. You can track them through every social platform now. And the tracking of marketing has become so different over the last few years that
Well, even the last few months.
it's evolving so fast and people aren't catching up with it. And that's where the research all the time happens. You're researching how these kind of businesses run and operate, where people are seeing the best return. That's one of the reasons that I want to start a podcast. So we can talk to business owners day in and day out, week over week, to see what is returning best for them. Because all that's going to do is educate us more. We're going to be 10 times better because we have this.
You always got to learn 1 to 5 things a day. If not, your day is not complete.
100%. But that's where you're growing. But right back to knowing your market, knowing who you're targeting. Conversions right now of Facebook are phenomenal. there's people that are going to disagree, but the people that disagree don't know how to use Facebook.
Yeah, but we've even talked to other companies that do social, and they're like, it just doesn't.
They
work.
don't know how to do social. They fail on every aspect of how it works, and they want to do it the quickest, easiest way.
And the quickest, easiest way isn't with the highest quality content. It isn't with paid advertising to a specific demographic in a specific region that you're trying to target. When you really drill down to that, who is my ideal customer? As a business owner, if you don't know who your ideal customer is, you are failing because you are wasting money and you don't know who to go after.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And I think a lot of businesses fail on that side. And Grant, yeah, we can sell. We could go out and close accounts all day long and say, hey, you know what, we're going to take our whole entire team, instead of working on content all the time, and building graphic design stuff, doing video, doing all this other stuff that we do, the photography, A to Z that we're doing to try to be better, we could say, hey, you know what, we're going to scratch all that. We're going to take everybody that works for M&G, we're going to go sell every day. We could conquer the market so fast and do it the easiest, quickest way. And we could do it just like every other marketing company out there.
Get a 12-month contract. We can do it. Man, they're signed
Exactly.
up.
12
We'll be sitting on
months.
our yachts here in a few weeks.
3 months, they're pissed.
I see why people do it.
No, but that's the reason the spaces became so big, is because if you can sell a future to business owners, they'll all say yes. Every business owner, if you sell them a future of them being in a better spot in 12 months, they'll say yes. So now we go out and we close all these people in 3 months, are pissed at us, and we say, you know what, we're gonna up and we're gonna rent out apartments in Omaha, Nebraska for 6 months. We're all gonna go up there and we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're just gonna conquer the area. We're gonna have, with what 7 of us do here, we could do with maybe one person the way that most marketing companies do it, maybe 2. And they could stay in Kansas City, hold those accounts for 12 months. At 12 months, they're out. They're not going to have jobs. We're going to take over Omaha. We have 3 people now because we just onboarded more accounts. We just piggyback around the United States doing that stuff. And that's a lot of marketing companies, what they do.
The way you said it sounds really good in theory.
Yeah, but it's not the right thing to do. Because people aren't making money.
That's where everyone misses it.
It's an awful way to conduct business.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's why you see those guys come in and sell dealerships and things like that one time. You know how many people I saw one time and never saw them again? A lot.
There's a company that sells supplies. I'm not going to name the company, but their business model is they put an individual into an area for 30 days, and whether you close those accounts or not, you're immediately moved out of that area and placed into a different one. And another individual is brought in, and they go hit these same businesses. And it's on a round robin through all those businesses. And you never have a connection with relationship with the company. So their only thing is having cheap product and being cheaper than everyone else.
Yeah, and there's business models that are built on that, and I'm not faulting people for building a business model that way. They can do whatever, they can do it that way. That's not what I stepped into doing. I did not want to have a business model that was that way.
we're trying to build brands. So we talked about it this week, Alex Hermosi's thing on branding versus direct response marketing. So if you guys haven't seen that, that's a good video to watch about marketing. And pretty much what he says is there's two types of marketing. There's direct response, to where you're just trying to call to action someone to purchase your item or to sign up or to do whatever. And that's what you just talked about. Those people, those reps for that company, they're direct response. They're not trying to build a relationship. They're not trying to build the brand up. They're just directly trying to get a response from that business owner and trying to get them to purchase at that instance.
Yeah.
What we do is, what he talks about with brands is, it's definitely a longer time horizon, but it builds a brand up that's reputable, that people know, that they trust, and that they eventually want to do business with for the long term. And I would 10 times over rather have that. The analogy that he uses is, the longer the runway, the bigger the plane that can take off. And I think that that's so true.
And that's 100% correct, where you become a building block of a company. that we want Moss Marketing Group to be a building block of those family-ran companies. We want to be that communication bridge, that person that walks in the room that they needed, that makes their lives different. Because their lives, if you can step into a room and make somebody's life different, they'll always remember you.
Sure.
They will always take care of you. You will always be right there next to them. We have how many companies call us week in and week out with 100 different things that has nothing to do with marketing. We have companies call us asking us about financial decisions if they should make them. I'm like, well, I have to tell you straight up, I'm not a financial advisor. Like, I don't know if that's like.
But that card
Little
does sound
business
pretty cool.
consulting too sometimes.
But a lot of times it feels like we're in the business consulting world too. But we care about these businesses doing well. And it comes on two sides that as they get more successful, they spend more money on marketing. And we want to be that person that's there the whole way up.
And you can help with all sides of like with their growth internally and stuff like that also.
Yeah, and that's a lot of our companies we've sat down with that have financial issues just on their accounting side and different things like that we've been able to help them out on. There are profit centers to businesses. There's
You good, bud?
I'm good. It's a heartburn kicking in. No, but there's a profit center to every business that sometimes people being in a business all the time, and I was guilty of it being in the car business. A lot of car dealers don't understand how their service departments are so profitable. All this other stuff is so profitable, and you get so focused on one aspect that you stop watching all these other things. And we have been in a lot of businesses where we go in and we're like, hey, we need to push this one thing because it's such easy profit right out the gate, and they don't even realize that because they're involved in it all the time.
I think we've seen that in about, not going to name the percentage, but a very good portion of
It's a lot. It's
every industry.
It's way higher than you would think too. On when you're speaking with these people, that they don't, just because they're doing it day in and day out, and you get set in a job where if you're working 5 days a week, you're working 6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever that time is that you're working in it, you start watching everything so micro level that you're not looking at the big picture. So if you kind of take a step back and you look at the big picture, you say, hey, there's this one aspect of our business that we've kind of neglected, that we haven't worked real hard on. And it could be a huge profit center for the business. And you could take marketing money and put it after this one thing and change your whole entire life.
Do you think that's where it would help to, say, every year or two, have just someone come in and look at a company from an outside perspective of someone that has been sitting in a position of wearing a lot of hats is the easiest way to say it.
I don't even think it has to be like year over year. I think that's something that's done a lot more often than that. I think
Like
it's something
quarterly, you think?
quarterly, if not monthly.
I mean, trends.
And that's something
Trends change.
that's something as a business owner too that you've got to teach yourself to learn about. I mean, or at least to know about and know how your business operates and where it's going and how it's changing. There's a good book out there. I can't remember the author. It's called Profit First, and it's for new entrepreneurs, because I think what it talks about is a lot of entrepreneurs get into business and they are focusing so hard on driving growth and driving new business and closing deals and pounding the pavement and doing all of the things that makes an entrepreneur and makes people, feel like they're successful. And it's like, okay, my business is growing, my business is growing, my business is growing, but my profit's not, because I'm not focusing on the right things and I'm not thinking about that before I close deals and before I go out and make this stuff happen.
Which I will say, profits are a good thing. Every business out there that's successful has to have profits. But I think there are a lot of business owners that get out there. I think
so
quiet.
I think there are a lot of business owners out there that get so set on profit that they lose sight of what they got in the business of doing.
Yeah.
That we have, it was something that I had a whole different experience of becoming an entrepreneur. That I didn't come in chasing profits right out the gate.
There's two sides to each coin.
Yeah, and
there's two sides to the spectrum. It's about balance.
There's balance, but I also know that there's a lot of entrepreneurs that get into this space that have a completely different upbringing as an entrepreneur than myself. And I had money set aside. I had these things done from a job before. I didn't have a life because I worked all the time, but I didn't spend the money I made.
You didn't have time to spend it.
Exactly. But it was like I spend a lot more money now that I have time to spend it. But I didn't have time to spend that money. So I had money set aside to where we could come into this and go full speed. And that's
a very fortunate thing to be able to do.
It's very, very fortunate.
It is.
And it's also made it to where I don't think about money. I don't think about chasing money. If we're growing month over month, the money comes with it. It's organic growth. It's good growth. It's people we want to work with. We don't work, I will say out of any client we have, there's not a single person we work with today that we don't want to work with.
That you wouldn't like to take a phone call from.
I know. Every single time.
I feel like,
I'd be happy to.
Everyone,
talk to
I would
any of our
not mind if
clients
we
and-
all did like a deal where like all of our clients are there and we just all got to hang out for the entire night.
That is what the goal is when we have
Client
an MMG
appreciation.
building
Yes.
and things like that. That's what I want this podcast to turn into.
Yeah.
I want this to turn into a weekly appreciation for every account. I wouldn't even say account. I would say friends. Every friend that we have made in this adventure that we have started, I want those people to be there.
This is an adventure. That's what this is an
It
adventure.
is. It's something that has grown into something so much bigger than. I wouldn't say bigger. I would say it's something that's grown so much faster than I thought it would. That is turned into a lot of relationships with business owners, things like that. That with 50 plus accounts, we have 50 business owners plus that we deal with that have become friends with us. That I truly think about week over week on their success.
Yep.
And how well they're doing and what we can do to make them more successful. If we focus on those things all the time, our growth is easy. That comes full speed right behind it. We're not in front, we're behind it. And that's where I think a lot of people try to put themselves in front. And they focus about their profits before that company that they're working with. If you focus on the company's profits first, yours will come. But you have to be patient with that.
That's why we build in the rear so they can get those profits throughout the month.
So we've talked a lot about MMG's growth and our clients' growth. Where do you see MMG going in the next 5 years? What's your vision of that?
That's such a loaded question
Sure.
in the fact that
You're welcome.
it's something that's probably way outside of my realm of seeing. It's something that would I think 18 months from when I started that we would all be sitting here doing this? No. 3 years ago, if somebody would have came to me and said, hey, you're going to be doing content, video, and photography and all these other things, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
And
all
have a
of us-
podcast.
All of us could say that.
But
Sure.
it's one of those things that, I mean, I knew nothing about any of that stuff. But the market has transformed, and it's something that I think we're all very adaptive people. And with the team that is forming around myself, I mean, the sky's the limit. There's nothing stopping us besides us. And I don't see anybody that is part of this ever slowing down. So as long as the team keeps forming the way it's going, that 5-year projection is going to be probably what most people would imagine in 40 or 50 years. And it's going to happen so fast that we can't see straight. But it's because our thought is never on ourselves. And if we keep thinking about taking care of businesses first all the time, that growth will always, that's something that I will hold true to for wherever this goes. But that alone will make it to where our growth comes by itself. So, would I like to put a set answer on that? Yes. Can I put a set answer on that? No.
Great answer.
My 3-year plan has happened in less than 12 months.
Like you said, sky's the limit.
Yeah. But Also, when I think people put a plan in place or a projection, they're always thinking about by themselves. That projection, that goal is always them personally or by themselves.
I think projections can also limit you. Honestly, I'm not gonna say all the time, but you always put your goals just right outside of reach, so you're always reaching for them.
That's true, but
if you set a
now
standard,
think about if you set a standard for yourself. Now think about if you put 6 of the most powerful people you know all around you, how fast can you obtain that?
and you meet it, and then you're like, okay, well, like I'm here.
So
Are we gonna keep going?
you sit there and think about
What's
what
the new
you could do. It's like, hey, this is what I want to do in 6 months. And I take 6 of the most powerful people and I put them all around me. You just did it in a month. So now you had a year of growth in 2 months. So it's now take 6 more people and put them around you. And that's where our growth isn't stopping. We're going to keep pushing. Like I said, there's no limit to where we're going. So you take 6 more people, and now all of a sudden you're doing a year of growth in a month. So you keep doing that, and you keep now all of a sudden in 3 years where you're trying to put a 5-year goal, what you're thinking of a year of growth could be happening in a week. A week.
You're throwing a lot of numbers out right now.
It's crazy how fast it scales, and that's what's happening right now of what we've done since 2022 has started. Since 2022 has started,
Crazy.
Moss Marketing Group has over doubled everything.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, March, like just started March.
So you're saying
already
by midway through summer, we triple down.
But
at
that's
least,
or better.
if not before. We've already almost exceeded and gotten close to, after this month, the ad spend that we did of all of last year.
in 3 months.
So back to
Facebook and all the social media companies are
they love
loving
us.
us.
They love us. I don't know why they shut our ad accounts down, but never mind.
I feel like that's every company's issue.
Dre, what you were saying though, I think there was a good point there that I think people struggle with is if you set the goal that you're going to, let's just use money for example, because that's something that everyone can comprehend. If you set the goal that you're going to make $100,000 in your career, whatever that be, and that's something that you really push for and you drive for, and with the job opportunities that are available today, you can achieve that within a certain amount of time. If you put your resources to it and learn skills that are necessary for that. But once that person that sets that goal reaches that $100,000, they're going to stop and they're going to be content. Let's take that same person, duplicate them, and say they set the goal to make $200,000. That person's going to push to $200,000 the same and stop. So whatever you set your goals to are wherever you will find yourself living and like staying around and maintaining.
That very much correlates to the saying where they say if you put yourself around 5 drug addicts, you're going to end up being the 6th drug addict. You put yourself around 5 millionaires, you're going to be the 6th millionaire. And that's surrounding yourself with the right people. And the right people, that's how our vision has changed so quick, is being around business owners all the time. Those are the people that really have those hefty goals. The people that we're talking to right here that are watching this have those hefty goals. They want to come to the next level. If they're watching this right now, they've watched this long, they're wanting to make a difference in their business. Yeah. They're wanting to push to the next level. They're wanting to figure out a way to change their life, how they can have that 12 months of growth in 1 week. They want to figure out how to do that.
And if you're watching right now, you can message in, and you can be sitting right here on the couch with us.
But
and if you're watching right now and you're surrounded by those people, look at the people that you're surrounded by. And if those people are not the type of people that you want to be surrounded with or that you want to become, then you need to find new people to surround yourselves with.
Yeah, we're growing too. Send us resumes.
Plug.
I will say, I have not looked at a resume to date of starting this.
You're lucky mine was stacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was pretty stacked.
Yours would fit on like a half piece of paper.
like very thin
Like
parchment
this
paper.
like a fortune cookie.
Very thin parchment paper.
Like a postcard.
fortune cookie.
Still for Dalton, but
Yeah.
So what's this going to look like going forward? What's the podcast going to be? What is this going to look like?
I think the podcast turns into that housing for marketing tips all the time for the next thing people can do to move forward. I know this video hasn't been the most for that person to move forward. This is very much an introduction to know our background of what we're doing to make businesses different. And if you need help today, you can reach out and we'll answer any questions that you need. But it's something that helps with business owners that may be a plumber that is sitting here, that you have a plumbing company and you need help with it. We have a guy right here or girl that is running a company that you can get the tips and tricks that they are using to be successful. We want successful business owners sitting right here. We don't want to have somebody on that is just, if they're not doing well and everything in their whole world is going awry, we're not going to have them sitting here telling you everything that they're doing. It is going to be something that people can watch all over the country to see what they can do differently, all over the world really, what they can do differently to market their companies and be more successful, to help that small mom and pop store, the small business owner that realistically nobody's ever cared for. Nobody's went after to help.
that's where the blue suits don't go.
No, how many businesses do we go into that no marketing company has ever walked into?
I've walked into a few myself, and I'm sitting there like
all the time.
What are you doing here? I'm like, I just want to give a hand.
Oh my
or
God,
help.
I've never had a marketing person come in and offer us anything.
But then you go into some, they're like, I've seen 4 marketing companies today.
Yeah, but it's when you're going into those people and you're talking to those people, those are the people you make the biggest difference for.
Yeah.
And we're doing it account after account after account. And we'll continue to do it. But this podcast is going to be its own channel for people to come to watch every week, to see what business owners are doing across every platform, to figure out how they can do better, to feed their family, to cater for their family, to do everything differently, and be more successful.
Even if you're an entrepreneur trying to get into a business, it's
Yeah.
just the tips you can take from it.
Yeah.
Anything, really. Dalton's been a chatty Cathy this time.
I know we're going to have to turn Dalton's mic off.
It has been a little quiet, but I just been listening to you guys. You guys are doing great, so don't worry about me.
Great. I don't know if great would be the term, but
Yeah,
we've been doing better than expected.
That's the thing about it. Everything you do in life is a learning experience. You said it earlier. If you're not learning, 5 things a day, and you don't continue to learn, then you're never going to get better, and you're never going to progress. And that's what it's all about, and that's what this is about, and that's what being an entrepreneur is about, and that's what business is about in general. So, where can people find out more about us and get in contact and stay tuned?
So they can follow us on any social media platform. So Instagram's
Links will be below.
Yeah, links below. We haven't done YouTube videos yet, so the links will be below. Instagram's at Moss Marketing Group. Facebook's Moss Marketing 58. Moss Marketing Group. At Moss Marketing Group on Facebook was already taken, so we lost that. Website is www.mossmarketinggroup.com. So that's M3.
You're gonna give your phone number.
That's
email,
M3. I mean,
social.
I'm probably not going to throw out my cell all over the world.
All right, your
But,
social, Dane.
If they hop on any of those platforms, they can find my number. Shoot me a text or a call. But
If you guys have questions, are curious about what we do, or want to know anything about marketing, drop a comment below. Send us a message on social media. We'll be happy to help.
we are your A to Z marketing contacts.
Or if you just enjoyed hanging out with us, feel free to subscribe.
Most of us.
Sure.
Dalton, Chatty Cathy, Dre. Yeah. But we're here.
All right.
The good
This
side
is-
of the couch.
Until next week.
This is Logan for Dalton, the Chatty Cathy, signing out from the Moss Marketing Group podcast.
I'll have more for you guys next time. Don't worry.